So I was actually literally in the airport, in Kathmandu airport, on the 25th of April when the earthquake struck. And I mean, the reaction was grab a trolley, hug a column, just try and crouch down and just wait for this thing to go away. It was obviously quite frightening. As I made my way through the streets to the Tamil district, cars were stationary in the road, people were running out of buildings into the road, into open areas. It was pretty chaotic. The older districts, like the older city of Patan, Bhaktapur, and in particular Durbar Square in Kathmandu was completely destroyed. I mean, that's horrific. And those are the old ancient temples and historical sites of Kathmandu. So that was quite sad. So I managed to find my way to my hotel where my local Nepalese contacts were, and then started the process of assessing the damage and the effect this had on the potential journey of this group to Everest Base Camp. Base Camp was actually in the safer part of this whole thing, and although there has been damage on the Base Camp route, it wasn't in the area most affected by the earthquake. So it was a calculated risk we took. I based my information on the real knowledge coming out of the route itself. Now, the base camp route is very inaccessible. You can only reach it by helicopter and by foot. So journalists weren't really around. They couldn't film it. There was no journalists to report on the base camp route. The people who knew what was going on there was the locals, which is where we got our information from. So whereas the damage was absolutely devastating in some areas of Nepal, where we were going, it wasn't so bad. So when they arrived, I said to them, look, I will not take you in an area that is not safe, but it may not be comfortable. So you must decide whether you want to come along or not. So they all decided to do it. And I think it's a human phenomenon that when we in moments of challenge and difficulty, we have a defiancy and a defiant power to rise up and to do something despite the odds. And I think that's what happened here. The group sort of galvanized, as fearful as some of them were, and decided, you know what, let's do this thing. So it added another dimension, not only reaching base camp, which is a physical challenge, but also now having to deal with some kind of fear. It's clear that this had a major effect on Nepal. For instance, there's a village called Dingboshe that we go through. It sits at about 4,400 meters. And the tea house owner, Ram, at that tea house, when we came through, we were the first group that came through after the earthquake. And as far as I know, we were the only group that reached base camp after the earthquake. He told me 18 groups have cancelled. 18 groups of people have cancelled. On any particular day, we would see 5-6 groups coming up or down the route in the first 2 hours of trekking of the day. There was none. It's very touching and it's very humbling to see how reliant these people are on Westerners. You know, we don't know those things. We don't see those things. In Kathmandu itself, there's a beautiful bookstore called Pilgrims. Chatting to the woman, she said they can't pay salaries. They can't pay the staff until October, when they hope the new season will kick in and more people will start coming. When we went to base camp, I thought I picked up a chirp from somebody questioning, why are we still going ahead? And it wasn't so much a safety thing, I think, as a moral thing. Like, should you guys still be doing this amidst the trauma that Nepal has encountered? And I looked at it like this. If we were to leave Nepal, we would not help them at all. Not in the least. By going ahead with the trip and continuing to give economic support to the people as we go along was helping. The guides and porters that we use, that's the only job they've got. I mean, the guide we're using, our head guide, Yogi, this was his last job of the season. So he lives in Kathmandu with his wife. They got a little shop there, a little shoe shop. His 2 kids. This is it. His next job is probably going to be October, hopefully October. It really touched us. I mean, it was, you cannot not be affected by this kind of thing.